This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, July 24th, is the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, who actually played basketball, but not in the NBA. But he's a Sixers coach. Of course, if you know who this guy is, if you're watching it and not listening to it, then you know who this is. Raptor fans know who this is. Well, now he's the coach of the Sixers instead of the coach of the Raptors. But he's Nick Nurse, never the same. Nonetheless, he's 56 years old today. He was born in Iowa and actually played at the University of Northern Iowa from 1985 to 1989. He's actually the three-point percentage leader all time, still. Of course, Northern Iowa was known for their upset of Kansas in 2007, was it? In the first round? On the first day of spring, they made the upset. Anyway, he actually was a student assistant coach for Northern Iowa in his final year with the team. So it was one of the most successful games of all time. And I believe if they say it's successful, they got to the NCAA. They got to the big dance for the first time ever. So the 1990 season was when you and I got into the tournament. They actually beat Missouri 74-71 in the first round. They were 14 seed and had to face number 3 Missouri. Lost to them. Beat them. And then lost to Minnesota 81-78, which was unfair, to say the least. Of course, those games were played in Richmond, at the Richmond Coliseum. But yeah, would have been nice to see Northern Iowa beating Minnesota. Regardless, Nurse went to the British Basketball League and was a player coach and decided to pursue full-time coaching after 91. So Grandview University gave him a shot. He was 23 years old. He would coach for a couple years and then went to the University of South Dakota to be assistant for 2 years. Then he would coach in Europe, mostly in Britain, winning 2 British basketball championships with Birmingham and Manchester, and got London to the Euro League. So anyway, in 2007, after many years away from the U.S., he accepted the head coaching job for Iowa, who were in the NBA D-League, when they finally decided to have a minor leagues and all that. Well, of course, the D-League, the developmental league, is now called the G-League. So the NBA had a minor league system. And a couple of division titles followed. After 3 seasons in the D-League, he became an assistant with Iowa State in 2010. Greg McDermott, who was actually a Northern Iowa teammate of Nick Nurse, actually left to go to Creighton. Nurse was only there for 4 days and was bumped off the new staff, but got $175,000. Then he went back to Iowa, the Iowa Energy in the D-League. The spot was there, and he helped Iowa win the D-League championship. Then he would leave for Rio Grande, winning the championship. So in 6 years of coaching, he got 23 players called up to the NBA. But in 2013, Nurse departed the Vipers because the Raptors needed an assistant under Dwayne Casey. So he got it. He was charged of the offense during his time under Casey. And he was credited for helping the Raptors' offensive game by increasing the passing game and 3-point attempts. Raptors then put up 59 wins, but got swept by the Cavs in the second round. Casey was fired. The Raptors decided to promote from within and got Nick Nurse to be the head coach. In his first season, it was huge. They won 58 games. Not the record, but that was good. Especially with the fact that Kawhi Leonard was acquired by the Raptors for DeMar DeRozan. A move that a lot of Raptor fans were mad about because, DeMar DeRozan is a legend in Toronto. So Kawhi came, and then Pascal Siakam, who I based it because he's like, New Mexico State. We went to there. Well, I'm glad I was wrong. Proven wrong. Anyhow, Siakam would win the Most Improved Player award, and lo and behold, Toronto got to the Eastern Final, down 2-0. I was like, oh man, here we go again. But somehow, in some way, the Raptors used double overtime to win Game 3, and the momentum helped them in 6 games to beat Milwaukee and go to the NBA Finals against Golden State. It was a knit and Raptors had a chance to clinch on home turf, but failed. But they won Game 6 in Golden State. I did it on this day on June 13th about the Raptors' victory. And Nick Nurse became the first coach ever to win in both the D-League and the NBA with titles. And the Raptors won their first championship in franchise history and broke the 25-plus year duck of Canadian teams not winning a major title. A Canadian team. Raptors were 53-19, pretty good. Of course, that was shortened by the pandemic. Who knows what the pandemic would have done for Raptor fans if it wasn't for that. But anyway, Kawhi left for the Clippers. He was still good and all of that. He was named Coach of the Year in 2020. But the Raptors shockingly lost the conference semis to Boston. So that wasn't good. But Nurse got a contract extension. The Raptors had to play all their home games in Tampa because of the COVID-19 restrictions, meaning that you can't really fly freely from the U.S. to Canada and all that. He helped them after a bad season. In 2022, they did win 48 games and make the playoffs. Unfortunately, after losing to the Bulls in the play-in tournament, in which DeMar DeRozan went off on his former team, the Raptors decided to get rid of him. And on June 1st, 2023, the Nurse is now head coach of the Sixers. Nick Nurse, for a few years, was actually the assistant coach for the British basketball team. And then in 2019, Canada named him as head coach of the Canadian national team. But then on June 27th, he officially stepped down as his role. So Canada will have a new guy for the 2023 World Cup. And it's shocking. Like, dude, why? Anyway, in 5 years as professional head coach, he's won 227 games and lost 163. A .582 winning percentage, not bad. Playoffs, he's 25-16, and that NBA title in his first season. Nurse and his wife have 2 sons, Leo and Rocky. Nurse actually was guest conductor at the Symphony Take Me Out to the Ball game in 2019. Nurse actually graduated from a university in Chicago with a PhD in sports leadership. And knew what he could do. So, anyway. Yeah. I just wish that Canada would do much better for the 2023 World Cup with this guy, but you never know. I hope everything goes according to plan. I do. Anyway, good luck to him in Philly. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.